Hey, everybody. Welcome to another solo episode with Brianna. And the topic I have for you today is AI. And I feel like there's so much information, so many podcast episodes, so much learning to be done on AI, about AI, how it works in our businesses, et cetera, et cetera. And so before we jump in today, I kind of want to set expectations. This episode is not me telling you what tool to use or comparing all of the tools. Should you use Chat? Should you use Claude? Should you use Perplexity? Should you use Gemini? There's a lot of information about that, but that's not what this episode is going to be about. I'm not going to walk you through how to build a custom GPT, even though I can, and it's a very important skill to learn. And I'm not going to debate what AI can theoretically do, right? All of the ways you possibly could use it in your business or how it can help you or all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to keep this high level because I don't necessarily think that that is maybe most helpful or useful for people to just kind of like take in more high level information. What I want to do instead is walk you through exactly what I do inside my client process, what I paste in, what I ask for, how I use what comes back, and where I still rely entirely on my own judgment. Because for me at least, AI is not the brains behind my trips, right? It's my strategic partner and it enhances what I already know how to do. I've been in business 10 years. I think I was doing a pretty good job before AI, but I know now that what I know how to do and how I know how to run my travel business is enhanced because of the way that I utilize AI in my business. It makes me faster. It makes me more structured. It helps me move from idea to implementation quicker. And so if I had to describe it as an equation, it would be my standards, my experience, my input multiplied by AI equals stronger execution. This is how I picture it in my brain. My unique value is still there. The taste that I have, the trade-offs, the supplier relationships, the intuition, none of that is left, and I am not disregarding any of it. AI just helps me execute at a higher level. And for me, at this point, it touches every single stage of the client journey in some capacity. From inquiry to consult prep, to building the trip brief, to research and design, to DMC emails, to proposal delivery, to check-ins throughout the process, to final itinerary quality assurance, all of it, right? And so let's just start at the very beginning so I can walk you through how it looks in my business. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed if this is too much information or if you're newer to AI. You don't need to do all of this tomorrow. Even if you just take one stage like the consult prep that you do and you start there, you'll feel the difference immediately. I also want to say that there's not one way to use AI, and this is not the right way or the only way or even the best way. I've developed kind of my own process here simply by trying things out, trial and error, quite honestly, and refining over time. And so I'm still growing, I'm still learning, but I do feel like this podcast is an opportunity for me to kind of share where I'm at and what I'm doing in the hopes that you learn something new or you take something away that can help you. So let's kind of dive in and start at the very beginning. Inquiry to getting ready for a consult, right? So a client inquiry comes in. And depending how your form is on your website or how you take in inquiries, this can look different for a lot of us. You might not even have an inquiry form because you do pretty kind of standard all-inclusive resorts or cruises or something like that where you're not needing to get a lot of information up front, or you might might be what you do. You'd rather connect first and have very little information to go off of. And so most of the information you're gathering is on the phone or on a Zoom call or what have you, or you can be on the complete opposite side where you get so much information up front because you want to have the most, I don't know, you can kind of look at it a couple different ways. When you gain a lot of information up front, number one, it's more of a barrier to entry a lot of the times because you have to understand that that person is really committed to going through that process and answering all your questions and really getting down into the details before they've even had an opportunity to talk with you. So wherever you are at on that spectrum, this might look a little different. But for me, a client inquiry comes in and there's a lot of nuance here, right? There's also a lot of differentiation between Some clients are giving a ton of information up front. Some clients know exactly what they want. Otherwise, you have on the other side of the spectrum clients who don't really even know where they want to go, or don't really know what they should spend, or give you all of these ideas that sound good, but not one clear direction of a trip, and everything in between. So sometimes there's a lot of emotion involved. It can be broad, it can be aspirational, what have you. They can want Italy, maybe Switzerland, maybe France. All of it sounds good. Luxury, but not too formal. Slow mornings, but I also want to see everything. You get the gist, right? Before AI, when I see these consults come in, I could do a couple of things. I could read everything, take it all in, and think, okay, I feel comfortable, or I'm just going to wing it on the call. I'm going to kind of go through the call, let them talk, let it get it all out, and then kind of decide as I'm going what questions to ask, how to move through the call, what do I need to know, etc. Or I would do a ton of research and time, like dissecting all of their information, putting it into something that makes sense, kind of understanding like, where can I go with this? And what do I still need to know? Ask them questions before we get on the call, before I feel confident even having a call. I need to know more, right? There's a lot of different things you can do with that information. But I think for a lot of us, we ask that information up front so that we can go into a call prepared. Now, what I do is I have a whole prompt and structure for preparing me for a consult. And the beauty of it is, I did the work up front, and now preparing is about a 5-minute or less job. So I say, using my consult structure, pull out 3 to 5 core goals, 5 to 7 constraints, red flags, contextual questions, and give me a 30-minute call agenda. There's a way in which I know as a travel advisor, the way I plan trips, the way I think through trips, that I'm trying to get underneath kind of like, hey, we want to go to this city, this city, this city, see this, this, and this. I want to know, why are you traveling? What matters to you? What does a perfect day look like? What's the pacing that works best? What matters to you in hotels? There's a lot of different things I want to know, right? But they're not necessarily direct questions, and I can't necessarily move through a consult exactly the same way, because it's a lot of the times dependent on the type of client and what they've given me so far and what I still need to kind of get from them. So I have a structure that I'm looking for so that I have the right information after we've gotten off the call to move in the right direction. I put the notes in, and noting the structure that I work from, it gives me back a complete call template for that particular client and that particular trip. So what I might get back from like the goals of this particular trip is they're looking for connection. They really value scenery. They're into food. They want a sense of wow. But the constraints might be they only have 10 days. They're looking to go in peak August. They have 2 kids with them. Their budget is mid to high band, but they're asking for high level luxury here. They're red flags. They actually want 3 countries in 10 days. They say they value slow mornings, but they're giving me a very heavy sightseeing list. And then I'm looking for AI to kind of help prompt me, because this is a question I know I would ask, but because that I have this information already kind of built into my prompt, if we had to drop one country to protect the peace of this itinerary, which would go first, right? I might think to ask that on my own, or I might kind of think through and jot some things down, but this is already built into the prompt. So it knows to kind of see that variance that exists between we like slow and like go with the flow, but also we have these 3 countries or, 3 different stops and they're not close together, whatever. Now, let me tell you why all of this matters. It's not about outsourcing my thinking. My thinking went into this a lot, but it is about walking into the call already seeing and understanding the tension points and having a clear path as to how I'm going to address them. So instead of me reacting in real time, I'm kind of guiding the conversation strategically while also making it organic and having it flow and letting them talk, right? So this is important because most of my clients and a lot of maybe your clients, they don't want to feel corrected. They want to feel led. And there's a difference there. So AI helps me lead the conversation better because I'm not processing the information for the first time on the call. And I've also really done the work to help AI be my partner in dissecting the information I'm given and understanding what needs to be asked so that we can get to the goal that we're after. It raises the level of the conversation immediately. And what I get back helps me understand the direction that I'm going and have all of the information, not only the just logistics of it. Hey, we like, these types of hotels. We like to travel in this way. We want to see the Colosseum. All of those things, yes, they're captured as well, but there's so much other stuff captured that I have a very good full picture. And that brings me to stage 2 of the client journey, where AI is so helpful. And this is probably this next stage that I'm going to talk about, the biggest kind of change and addition that I have made to my workflow as I've utilized AI in, my business. So the next thing that I do, stage 2, is create a North Star brief. This happens after I've done a consult. And this is where the shift has really happened for me, because I don't kind of feel lost ever after a consult. I don't kind of like just dive straight into research, and I don't have to spend, as I work with a team, and some of you may and some of you may not, but because the team that I have works collaboratively, I do such a better job with this North Star brief, making sure that we all know what this trip is about, who this client is, and the direction we're headed. At any time, another person on my team can jump in and really know with great clarity and detail what's going on here and what are we doing, right? So building my North Star brief is pasting their project already has their call notes or their intake form, right? Now I'm pasting my call notes. Now, I think important clarification to make here is my AI buddy of choice has already helped me develop, hey, here are the questions I'm asking to understand the vision of the trip. Here are the questions I'm asking to understand what their ideal day looks like. Here are the questions I'm asking to make sure I know what matters most. Here are the questions I'm asking to know, all of the different things so I don't need to repeat all of that. I literally am just brain dumping or copying and pasting my chicken scratch at best notes that I've taken during the call, because it already knows the structure in which I ask questions and why I ask them. No repeat needed, right? So I'm pasting in my notes from the call, chicken scratch, couple of words here and there, and it's turning this into a 1-page trip logic brief. So this is going to include the client snapshot, what matters most to them, the direction and pacing of the trip, accommodation direction, ranked trade-offs, meaning what are their priorities, logistics map, and the risks and mitigations. And it's not fluff. It's not unnecessary information. It's structure. So what it might say for me in this brief is, hey, here's what matters most to these clients. Here's the intimate experiences that we want to include. No frantic pace necessary, right? Walkable hotels, which of course everybody wants a hotel in a walkable location, but whatever. One elevated wow moment. And the trade-offs, a larger room or a suite is very important. Private touring, extra nights. This is a trade-offs that they're willing to make in their trip. And that ranked list alone really changes everything, because when I'm deciding between 2 bases or 3, a boutique property or a 5-star, a private transfer for that long, transfer versus going by rail, I'm not guessing what wins or what I should include. I already now know what the trade-offs are in a ranked order. So it's really, really easy, right? And there's no guessing involved because I already know. Now, why this matters is because if you don't clarify trade-offs early, they definitely resurface in the proposal stage. And what I have noticed over the years is that I have my own idea of what matters most, where the trade-offs are, if got to prioritize this versus this. If it were me, I know what I would do. But we're not all the same. And we're also trying to listen to our clients and understand and guide them and lead them into say, hey, if this matters, I'm going to make this happen. The trade-off is X, whatever the case may be. So by doing this North Star brief, by gathering this information and by understanding these different levels so clearly, I'm shortening the research phase dramatically. I'm preventing myself from second guessing or just guessing, period. And it gives me a lot of clarity before I open 17 tabs on my computer and start to dive into this trip. It keeps my thinking consistent and it doesn't create the strategy. It just organizes it. Again, this is all built off of what I know to be true about trip design, my unique kind of perspective, And so building that prompt and understanding what I want it to give me so that I have a clear path forward has been a really huge shift in how confident I feel getting started on a proposal. And also, like I said, the second biggest win is allowing for the collaboration to take place between team so that we're all on the same page and we all really understand this client intimately, even if somebody else was not on the consult call, did not listen in on the call, what have you. All right. After I've created this North Star brief, again, I'm talking through all of this information it gives me, but it spits it out in 2 minutes, right? So 2 minutes later, I have the brief. Then I go into research and design. And here's the thing. Personally, speaking just for me, I at times do straight to DMC, and at times I do the research and the design on my end, either for the whole trip or before I even contact a DMC. From a creative control standpoint, still sometimes feel that research and design stage needs to have some real work put into it by myself before I'm going to a DMC. And then at other times, I just feel like this trip is better delivered without the help of a DMC for a lot of different reasons that we don't need to get into. I just want to talk to you how I use the AI to help me in the research design phase. And so whether that's a big part of your business or not, this might not be as applicable. So what I'm not doing is asking AI to plan a trip to Italy. That's where advisors get generic output. That's where it like literally will give you something and you're like, what does this have to do with the cost of, olives in Spain? I don't know if that's a real thing. Anyway, what I am saying instead is asking it to use the brief that I've created for this client and say, return to me a clear direction statement, city and nights rationale, hotel options with a room type that actually fits what this client is asking for, experience themes aligned with their priorities, a logistics map, and a budget color check, green, yellow, red, meaning the budget they gave me, are we good to go? Of course I can do Greece for 30K in 10 days. Or are we in red? Of course it's going to be very difficult to do Greece in July for 10 days in 10K. You know what I mean? So it's a green, yellow, red. So I understand where I'm at. And here's where the nuance comes in. If it recommends a hotel, I expect, tell me why it fits this client. What room category works? Are there any watch outs? Do I have any mobility notes that I've mentioned about this client that I need to be aware of? What have you? If it recommends a routing, I expect it to give me the drive times, the rail timing, sanity checks, baggage considerations. It's not, why I think this is important, all of these kind of details, is when you're talking especially about, customized bespoke travel or quote unquote luxury, what have you. It's not about just pretty lists. It's really about clean logistics. So on my end, especially when I'm building something on my own, I need to understand the logistics very, very well. And so this is, again, a partner. Can I get to this information on my own with some time and elbow grease? Absolutely. But it happens so much quicker, so much faster, so much more effective when I have this all built into a prompt. It essentially is accelerating the structuring phase of research. And depending, again, on how your business is structured, this can be such a huge win because what I used to do and the time I used to spend is so dramatically cut short by having this help. So yes, I'm still vetting every hotel. If it gives me a hotel I haven't heard of, I'm doing my due diligence, right? This is just kind of like a side note to this. If you do work with a consortia or have a host agency or whatever, however you go through and I check for Tuoso first, and then I go to SLH, and then I go to Relais and Chateau, and then I go to however you do, you can build that in to an AI prompt as well. But I'm getting off track because there's a lot of different rabbit holes we can go down here and I want to stay on topic. So I'm still going to vet the hotels. I'm still going to sanity check every routing. And again, AI is not 100% right all the time. It definitely will give me something and I'll be like, are you sure about that? And I'm still going to use my supplier network as much as I can and when it makes sense. So this is just so I'm not starting at zero every time. And again, me personally, I like to head into a DMC relationship with a really strong knowledge of what can work, what should work, what I'm asking for, what I'm looking for, and not just brain dump a whole bunch of random information on a DMC without doing my part, so to speak. And that's just a me thing, perhaps, but that's how I operate. When I'm doing this research and design phase, I feel that AI is enhancing my efficiency, but not replacing my discernment. And that's, of course, important for our line of work. Okay. Now, after this step, or sometimes a little bit earlier, depending on the type of request and the location and the DMC partner that I have, the DMC requests. When I email a DMC, it's very clear. It's very structured. It's very thought out. I'm giving them everything they want to know. I never get an email back asking me for more information. So all of the information that I know a DMC wants is included in the prompt, but I'm also very clear about, hey, what matters most, and the snapshot of the client being shared so that we're working from the same client persona. Different asks that I might have for my business, whether I'm asking for net, whether I'm asking for in-band budget band options, whether I'm asking for upgrades labeled clearly with a distinct upgrade cost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What I know, if you do FIT type travel and if you work with DMCs, is that vague emails get vague quotes. And I am not looking to waste my time, and I'm not looking to waste their time. And so a clear structure gets strategic responses. And what I have found is, because of all of this work and personas and profiles and stuff that I have from this brief, I am able to share that so easily with a DMC in a structured format that gives them everything they need to know to get working on a proposal and get back to me. This step is going to reduce back and forth, improve the quality of the quote that we receive, hopefully, and save days in turnaround. We don't need to ask each other questions. You have everything you need. And when you start to see, wow, I'm getting this question, back 4 times from DMCs in the last couple of months, then it becomes part of your prompt to always share that information up front. All right. So do the DMC request. We get back an amazing proposal. We put together a proposal, and now it's time to deliver it to the client. Now, what I have done at this stage of the client journey with my use of AI is it might not seem big, but I think at the end of the day, it's doing its job so well to essentially help the sales process. And so it is one of my favorite upgrades. Proposal emails are so quick, but they're also so spot on. So I am creating at this stage, the proposal email, and the delivery method that I use is an email with a Loom video attached. And so when I'm drafting the proposal email for this particular client going to on this particular trip, where I used to just have a standard template that kind of it was good. And, I dare to say good enough because it did its job for the most part. But now it is so easy to just up level this and give it a bit of a upgrade, because I'm asking, with all of the information now that we have gone through so far with this client, it knows what the intake form was, what we discussed on the call, what the North Star brief is, what matters most to this client, how they make decisions. All of this information is now at top of mind for my AI assistant to craft an email for the proposal. And it's including, hey, here's what we heard that was important to you. Here is the recommended direction. Here's 3 reasons it fits. Here's 1 intentional trade-off and why. Here's the decisions I need from you. And here's the reply window on when I need to hear back from you. Now, this structure is hugely important, because it's not like, hey, here's the proposal, let me know what you think. It becomes, here's what you told me. Here's what I prioritize. Here's the trade-offs I made intentionally. Here's what I need from you. And the reason why this matters is that clarity accelerates decisions. I have given them what they need to make a decision. And it moves clients from browsing, considering, thinking about it, sleeping on it for 2 weeks, what have you, to committing faster, because I've drawn that through line direct to how to make a decision. In that same vein, what I'm outlining in a proposal email, I'm doing that same thing in a Loom video. So my prompt is also giving me back, here's the key points to hit in this video. Make sure that you highlight X. Make sure that you tell them this is why we made Y decision. All of the things. So while I now have been doing Loom videos for years and years and years and talking about proposals for years and years and years, I do understand that I kind of have a specific way that I go through a Loom proposal, or how I do a proposal video. And it kind of, like I said, it does the job. But now I'm specific to a higher degree, thinking through what I heard from that client, how they make decisions, what is going to be like the thing that I need to kind of really drill down on. And I just have my notes right there so that I don't have to think about it. This doesn't take me any more time. It just is an enhancement to the thing that I'm already doing, right? So very, very important. All right, we delivered the proposal. They said, yay, it's amazing. And then we're getting ready to go into a quality assurance, right? And I guess there's a couple of steps before that, because depending, again, this is also how you do your trips and what kind of process you go through. But one thing I do want to kind of touch on or mention or go back to is if you do kind of the what's it called? Concierge services. And you are looking for, hey, how do I help, or how do I get AI to help me in that stage, or the check-ins or what have you? So again, to kind of make it a seamless client journey, we do a 60-day check-in to start the concierge process. So AI is drafting the check-in email, the 2 to 4 optional add-ons from an itinerary that we think are going to fit best, the restaurants or what have you that we are recommending based on our parameters, right? Walkable from their hotel or a certain distance from their hotel, certain types of dining that we know this client has said they're most interested in, like one special Michelin star, but the other we're good for hole in the wall, whatever the case may be. All of these things pulled in from our knowledge of the client and then drafting the email based on that knowledge. And so it keeps the tone warm, the expectations clean, and the timeline structured because it is all given to us from what we know of the client. And then we're sending that email out. And so from this stage, we are not scrambling last minute and we're not creating endless back and forth because it's very kind of, again, we're leading. And so we're leading the client and we're helping them make decisions by giving them very structured parameters, but that are still very tailored to them. And we are also eliminating scope creep, right? We're saying, here's what we're doing, here's what we're helping with, and here's where we need your responses by so that we are able to fulfill these requests. So again, if you do a concierge level service, and if it comes at a specific time in your workflow, this is also just an area that, again, we're getting our assistance with AI to help with. And again, not trying to go down the rabbit hole of how we do restaurant recommendations or what have you, but this is also just a very key helping point, I guess, that AI does as well when we're kind of sourcing all of that information and how we are going to make sure that it fits that client and is the right kind of recommendations for them. Now, quality assurance, protecting your brand and making sure that the final itinerary is all T's crossed, I's dotted, all of that. Running quality assurance on our final itineraries is very important. I do not think that it fully will ever replace our final eyes on the things that we sent out. It shouldn't. But how helpful is it to have a prompt and a system that is set up to flag critical issues and minor inconsistencies? When you're able to say, hey, this is what we look for, this is why, this is the structure of everything, this is why, this is what should be here, this is all of the things that should be included, and your eyes have looked at it 72 times and maybe miss that the fact that that confirmation number for that hotel is not there. AI doesn't have that problem. So it could be helpful in a lot of different ways. It might catch a transfer time mismatch, a date inconsistency, a dinner reservation that happens before a hotel check-in, whatever the case may be. Not glamorous, but again, luxury is in the details. And so this matters because for all of us, trust is built on seamless execution. And I want as much help as possible in shortening the time, number one, that it takes to kind of really, really do proper quality assurance, but also enhance the effectiveness of what we're doing to make sure that the final itineraries that we send out are as buttoned up as possible, because this protects my brand, it reduces small mistakes, and it gives me a second to kind of know that there is a pass being done on this that isn't me or somebody on my team, because I don't do this step anymore. So all of this to say, this is kind of walking you through, I don't know, 7, 8 steps of the client journey. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, there's really not a step that does not include some sort of AI component to it. It touches every part of my business, but specifically what I'm talking about today, the client experience. So when I do say that AI is touching every stage of the client journey, I absolutely mean it. And the common thread here that I hope I shared effectively so that you really understood and could grasp like how this looks in real life and the nuance behind it is that what it's doing most, for me at least, is helping me structure messy information, helping me move faster from idea to implementation, helping me think more clearly, and protecting the quality of my work. What it does not do, it doesn't replace my value, it enhances it. And I believe that that's the difference. So I hope that this was a helpful episode for you. Again, my goal is to always just share information and have it be in some way something that you can take and implement in your own business. Let me know if that was the case. Let me know if there's something that you want me to dive deeper into or approach from a different angle. I'm always an open book. I'm always happy to share. And again, my goal is always to help you grow and succeed in your own business. And so cheers to that.